Those who thought that there would be no drama, in the celebration of the Madaraka Day, public holiday today, appear to have been very mistaken. Because Madaraka Day 2019 came with a new development that will generate very serious drama in the next few weeks and months. And this is the introduction of new generation Kenya shillings notes. Well, sounds normal enough. After all, we have been using legal tender that is unconstitutional because the 2010 Constitution specifies very clearly that we are not allowed in Kenya to have notes with people's faces on them. And so, in fact, the launch of these brand new notes is coming late, way behind schedule. Granted, because of some hiccups here and there. Some people went to court, etc., etc. So why should any drama be linked to this launch of new notes? Well, I'll tell you. And let's start at the beginning, as usual, so that we all understand very clearly where the drama is going to come from. And we also understand that definitely, the government had an objective in some of the actions that were announced today. Now, the first thing I noticed is that the new currency is very similar to the currency of South Africa, the currency notes in South Africa. That's the first thing I noticed, and I'm sure most of you who know something about the currency in South Africa, maybe been to South Africa, will notice that straight off the bat. The new notes are in denominations of 50 shillings, 100 shillings, 200, 500, and 1,000. Very interesting, the launch and the announcement came after the president's speech because, as we all know, the president is supposed to speak last. But this year, it's not the president who spoke last, but in fact the governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, Mr. Patrick Njoroge. And Mr. Njoroge told us that the new notes are already legal tender in Kenya. They were gazetted and they became legal tender yesterday, the last day of May 31st. Now, ordinarily, when new currency is launched in any country, you give people time, normally 2 to 3 years, for the old currency to be gradually phased out. That is the way it's done. And in Kenya, this is precisely what is going to happen for the 50 shilling note, for the 100 shillings note, and for the 200 note, and for the 500 shillings note. Now, this is where the big maneno comes in. This long period, of changing from old to new, will not apply to the 1,000 shilling note. The governor of the Central Bank of Kenya announced that the government is worried about the illegality that is involved with the 1,000 shilling note. And therefore, the government is giving Kenyans up to October 1st to surrender all old Kenya shillings 1,000 notes and switch to the new ones. In other words, the old Kenya shillings 100 note, 50 note, 200 note, 500 note will remain legal tender, except the 1,000 Kenya shilling note. That one, after October 1st, is worthless. That's really what it is. Now, what should be of great interest to keen observers is the reaction from the podium when Bwana Patrick Njoroge announced this, that the 1,000 note would no longer be legal tender as by October 1st. There was a lot of murmuring and speaking, and many in this podium, can I just call it the high table podium, seemed shocked. There were nervous smiles, and some people looked worried. And I found the president's body language the most interesting. He appeared extremely pleased. Indeed, I can't remember the last time I saw him looking so pleased with himself. But of course, I'm not going to speculate. I don't know what the president was thinking. He was just happy. Let's leave it at that. Now, what is the big deal with these Kenya shillings 1,000 notes? Let me break it down for you. When I was growing up, as a young child, I used to hear that Asians normally keep large sums of cash in their houses. And this puzzled me, especially because I knew that Asians were very smart business people. So how does a smart business person, instead of banking their money for safety, choose to keep huge sums of money in the house? Well, as I grew up, I understood this a little better. The huge sums of money is to do deals at any time of the day or night. And not all deals have to be legal, although some of them, of course, would be legal. I started with this example, so that I'm able to illustrate to you the impact of the government announcing suddenly today that as of October 1st, that's only 4 months away, the 1,000 shilling note will no longer be taken as legal tender in Kenya. Okay, so I started with that example. Now let's fast forward to the present. Now in recent times, the government has been tightening the financial sector. In fact, many economists say that this tightening has affected the Kenyan economy. Now, what do I mean by tightening? I'm talking about the tightening and control of the flow of money in the economy. And the laws which have been passed by the government have mainly been aimed at criminals and people who launder money. Because it's common sense, if you're buying illegal drugs, you're not going to write somebody a check. You'll have to pay them in cash. The result is that today, even if you're a very honest business person and you want to walk into your bank to bank in a mere $10,000, that's about 1 million Kenya shillings, you'll already be sweating as you approach the bank. And you're not sweating because you're expecting to be robbed. You're sweating because of the paperwork and explanation ahead of you. Now the public has reacted. Businessmen have reacted. How have they reacted? They're avoiding banking money. Even people doing very legitimate businesses are avoiding the bank. Let me give you a quick example. Supposing you had 5 camels to sell. Maybe you're a trader. You buy and sell camels. Now chances are very high that very senior bankers at your bank, somewhere in Wajir or Garissa, have no idea how much a camel costs. There's that possibility. And even if they do, chances are high that they'd start growing suspicious. If you're making too many transactions, selling too many camels, maybe you're having a good month, you'd have problems at the bank. You've already filled in the forms. You spend about 2 hours at the bank. And then in the evening when you're at home, you receive a call from the bank, or the next morning. And they're still talking about this money you banked yesterday. And yet today, you're also doing another deal. Chances are that you'll bank the same amount of money or even more. I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. Bottom line, since the tightening of Kenya's financial sector, there's a lot of money which is outside the bank circulation. And I believe the government has noticed this. And there's another very serious concern of government apart from criminal activities. And that concern is taxes. Which tells you immediately another reason why people would want to keep money under their mattresses or in very large safes somewhere in their bedroom has to do with avoiding to pay tax, which is criminal. Probably one of the oldest crimes in history. Because even in Jesus' time, there were still tax collectors, collecting too much tax unfairly from people. And also there were people avoiding the paying of that tax. So nothing new there. And by the way, that was about 2,000 years ago. Now already, the folks who have covered, it's a large amount of money out there. Now let's move to the big boys. Politicians and corrupt cartels. Now, common sense dictates that if you want to keep large sums of money, you keep the largest denomination. So that you have a small stack, but a high amount of money. Okay? So, you'd think, that the best way to do it would be to keep your money in US dollars. And that is precisely what people used to do a handful of years ago. But they no longer do that. Why? Because there are also controls Yeah, if you can't just walk into a bureau or a bank, yeah, and exchange $20,000. It's not possible. You'll have to explain the source of your funds and also the destination of your funds. Where are they going? And where did the money come from? And so, simple solution, keep it in Kenya shillings 1,000 notes. And if you're doing business, say in Tanzania, you also keep Kenya shillings 1,000 notes. The same in Uganda, the same in Rwanda, etc., etc. But back to the politicians. If, for instance, you are keeping a large war chest of money for the 2022 campaigns, yeah, you'd also keep those funds in Kenya shillings. Yeah, and those Kenya shillings, I would bet you, would be in 1,000 Kenya shillings notes. Now, some of the amounts I've heard people talking about, yeah, that certain politicians have, are just mind-boggling. Yeah, but let's just deal with a small figure. Small figure in Kenyan terms. Let's say you had 1 billion Kenya shillings in 1,000 Kenya shillings notes. You know that by October 1st, all that currency will be useless. Yeah, it will no longer be accepted as legal tender in Kenya. What do you do? Now, my friends, that is where the drama is. And that is where we're going to see in the next few weeks and months a lot of squirming. Yeah, people squirming, people uncomfortable, people hitting out in various ways, yeah, against this new government directive, etc., etc. And possibly, yeah, you can't rule this out, people going to court. Now, don't expect anybody to appear in court, yeah, and say that I have a large sum of money and I'm against this new government directive, it's unconstitutional, because I'm going to have problems with my large war chest. No, it's all going to be colored and packaged properly in legal language, yeah, legal constitutional language, and language like the government is inconveniencing Kenyans. Yeah, that poor person up in the rural areas will be forced to travel and go through so many inconveniences, yeah, to secure his legally hard-earned money, which he has kept at home. That is the kind of language we should expect in the coming weeks and months. But I don't think most of the people pushing this court action will be that person in the rural area. No, it will be the big boys. And that is why you'll hear some analysts boldly announcing that this move has just fixed Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Because I have no doubt in my mind that the government is already ready. They've already sent circulars to the relevant people. Yeah, banks will be ready and they'll know what to look out for. And I'm sure houses and certain people are being monitored, by the security forces to see what they'll do next, what move they will make. Now, you can be sure of one thing. We have a lot of very smart people out there, extremely smart, so they'll find a way. But the paths, however smart, are limited. And that is why I'm expecting some dramatic movement, with the US dollar, the value of the US dollar against the Kenya shilling. Maybe the most dramatic movement we have seen of the dollar in recent times. I'm also expecting a lot of politics, demonstrations, etc., etc. Because corruption and evil will always fight back. They won't just lie down and take defeat. No way. They will fight back vigorously and ruthlessly. But I'm also sure the government is ready. Now, there's a saying, when two elephants fight, who gets hurt the most? It's the innocent grass. So, I'm also predicting that the people who will suffer most in the drama that is about to unfold are the legitimate, hard-working business people of Kenya and the ordinary mwananchi. And the vast majority of Kenyans who yawned when they heard this announcement, because the times they've handled a Kenya shilling 1,000 note in their hands are very, very few. And anyway, when that kind of note lands in their hand, it normally disappears as fast as it has come. To pay debts, to pay this, to pay that, etc., etc. But make no mistake about it. This is what I'd call high wire drama. Let's wait and see what happens. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.